What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you my next 7 reviews as I move to sort of close out 2025, and though admittedly some of this is probably going to spill over into January a little bit, I thought the 1st of December would make for a good time to kind of lay things out in terms of what I've got planned over the holidays and everything, or more specifically like Christmas and New Year, I suppose. Now that goes doubly so this time around because I've got some fresh information for a couple of games that I wanted to talk about here, such as Temple of Elemental Evil, the Steam release for that in particular. We've got some details there I wanted to share, alongside a couple of other things. Though, normally I do like 10 games for this just to kind of work ahead a little bit, but in this particular case, I didn't want to get too far ahead of myself because when January rolls around, that's usually when I do a lot of my planning for the entire year in terms of what I am likely to cover, barring like surprises at shows and stuff. And we still have the announcements at the Game Awards to look forward to, so I just want to get a clearer picture of what is ahead first. Not to mention, of course, all of the older games I'm going to want to review in 2026 as well. So simply put, trying not to overwork myself here. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first one up is actually a game called Sleep Awake. This is a psychological horror title that is releasing tomorrow, actually, December 2nd. This is a game that caught my eye since I first learned about it. It just looks particularly unique and interesting to me because it takes place in the last known city on Earth where people are disappearing if they fall asleep, and so they're using all sorts of methods to stay awake while also dodging like death cults and stuff. And honestly, I have no idea if this will be good, but it looks unique, and that is enough for me. And it won't be very long before you guys see the review for this, as these types of games are usually on the shorter side. That said, no review key for this one. I will buy it tomorrow when it releases. Now, right after that, a much larger title, as people following the channel probably already know, is Octopath Traveler 0. Thanks to a prologue demo they put out, I was already able to take an initial look at this game, but it is releasing in full on December 4th. Now, as I mentioned in my preview, this is technically a mobile game that they've taken and turned into like a full proper experience, which is why it looks like a little bit of a visual downgrade from something like Octopath Traveler 2, but I still love the art style. I'm interested in the Octopath Traveler series, and I plan on reviewing this one, as I really loved 2 in particular. But early reports are saying that the story for this is something like 100 hours, and while that stuff tends to be exaggerated when I hear numbers like that, we'll see how it pans out. I am expecting this one to take me a little while, though, and we will certainly see what happens. I may wind up getting a review key for this. Square Enix likes to offer me review keys like the day their games launch, so that would not be unusual at all. That is honestly more often than not what they wind up doing for me. So if I get a review key, that's when I'll take a look at it the day of, or I'll just buy it that day one way or the other. But either way, launching soon, and then I will start reviewing it, of course. Which brings us to our third entry, and perhaps probably the most interesting one on this list from an information perspective, because we've got some more information, and that is Temple of Elemental Evil's Steam release. Now, this is a game I have played and taken a look at on the channel before, though that review is quite old. Was still kind of feeling things out at the time, which is enough reason in and of itself to update a review. But what's really exciting here is the Steam release, because it looks like Sneg, the people behind all of this, are actually making an effort to get this game running and playable more easily. So to be clear, this is not a remaster or a remake, anything like that. They are taking the version that is available on GOG, baking the core functionality of some of the mods in, and fixing things. And that is not just me saying that, but rather they posted an update announcing its December 10th release date, so we'll see this relatively soon. And they also shared a little bit of information. So if you're unaware, Temple of Elemental Evil required basically 2 mods to get up and running because of the problems with the build that was released. Tim Kane, one of the developers at Troika, has put out a ton of information about this. Really interesting stuff, in case you want to hear the why, but the long and short of it is that this game had a lot of technical problems, and the thing is, even with those mods installed to get it running properly, you could run into problems with like save file corruption. So the Steam release version, it looks like what they are planning to do is implement the core functionality of Circle of 8 and the Temple Plus mods. They worked with those modding communities directly to do this, but there is some other important information. I'm saying the core of those mods because it is not all of them. That is because if you've ever used those mods, you may know that they come with some extra content that was not part of the base release of the game. And for legal reasons, they cannot add that to this release. However, you should still be able to install the mods on top of this new Steam version and get access to that extra content that way. which I thought was especially interesting. But outside of putting the core functionality of those mods in here as a base, they have also mentioned that they are including over 1,000 fixes and enhancements to the game. The main stuff obviously being getting it running on modern machines. They also mentioned that they adjusted the UI a little bit. They messed with enemy UI to make it a little smarter. They improved pathfinding, and everything else they mentioned is countless quality of life upgrades. So all in all, it looks like there is a substantial reason to re-review this game, and I'm really looking forward to doing so. That is out on December 10th, so not too much longer there, as I mentioned. Next up, right after this, we have another older title with New Vegas. So New Vegas is another title I have taken a look at previously, though truth be told, I don't know the exact form this video is going to take. Basically, as everybody knows, the Fallout TV show is premiering on December 17th. It is going to heavily deal with the events of New Vegas. It looks like what they're probably going to do is make some sort of custom ending that was not actually available in the games, like just based on the information I've seen. It looks like they are not canonicizing any specific ending, but rather, I bet they're going to pick and choose stuff from all of them. However, that's kind of irrelevant. How does this factor back to what I'm doing? Well, basically, when I went full-time on YouTube in September of 2021, one of the very first games I reviewed after that was Fallout New Vegas. That is because it was one of the mini games that I had never gotten to play when it actually released. I've explained the why a million times, but like most stuff that released in the 2000s, that is to say 2000 to 2010, I just did not play. And so one of the first things I did when I started doing this full-time was commit to going back and taking a look at all these really important games that I had never played personally. New Vegas was one of those. Being one of my early reviews, it's a little rough around the edges, so I think there's enough reason there to sort of update it alongside the TV show and have that ready for people so they can take that fresh look. It just makes sense from a sort of interest perspective. But what's more, I've also not played it since then, and I would like to sort of refresh my own memory about the exact specifics so I can hopefully enjoy the show a little more as a result. That part is honestly just for me. So I honestly admit here that I don't know that I will like fully re-review this game, but there will be a video of some sort about New Vegas, just because it's a convenient time for me to play it again, and so I'm gonna. Following on from that, we then have XCOM, Enemy Unknown. Some people who watch regularly may remember that a couple months ago I put out a first impressions for XCOM. That is because it is one of the older games I was wanting to get around to this year. I wanted to do 1 and 2, but that's clearly not going to happen. But XCOM Enemy Unknown is, again, one of those sort of like foundational RPGs for tactical games that I just have yet to review, so I've been in the middle of doing it. The problem is this just continues to get interrupted by all sorts of new stuff and other things that I would like to do, and so of the game's required 5 playthroughs for the 100%, I've done the 2 easy ones basically. I have 3 more playthroughs for this game to go, which are classic Iron Man, and then an impossible run. When I first put out that first impressions video, a ton of people reached out to help me get out the multiplayer achievements. There are 2 of them that are easy to get, so shout out to the people who helped me with that. I, again, received a ton of messages. People were super cool about that. But either way, I've basically got the 3 hard runs to go, and I just need to make time to actually do them, and as things start to settle down for the year, I just need to make a point to grind through and finish this so I can finally cover one of the greats before, hopefully getting to XCOM 2 sometime next year. But we shall see. Either way, looking forward to it. Then there is Hades 2, one of the big games that released this year that I just have not been able to get around to just yet, and that is primarily because it released into early access a while ago, so people were already kind of familiar with what this game is, or they already owned it, and so a full review for the 1.0 version just hasn't been high on my priority list. But I did love the first game. I know for sure that I want to complete this one, and just like with XCOM, I just kind of need the time to get in there and get it done. And so I'm gonna. And then last but not least, finally checking out Phantom Brigade 2.0. Which may seem a little bit odd, yes, but basically, very recently actually, I think November 20th, Phantom Brigade got its long-awaited 2.0 update. This is an interesting sort of TRPG that released all the way back in 2023, and I've been trying to make time for it ever since. However, when I was going to make time for it, people pointed out to me that they had a big overhaul that they were working on, the 2.0 version. That finally came out on November 20th, and so I would like to finally check this game out for myself while also providing people information on the 2.0 version, which has apparently been super positively received. So I think that will probably be good for everybody involved. Looking forward to checking that one out. But as for today, that's pretty much going to do it. There will be other things that I'm going to be covering over the course of December, like, of course, the big winter sale, the game awards, that kind of thing. So chances are there will be other games besides these, but these are what I'm trying to focus on reviewing and getting done so I can kind of clear the way for everything to come in 2026. Because tentatively, while I'm not ready to talk about any of them yet, I do actually have several plans in place or games I would like to get to, that kind of thing. But with all of that said, it's already been a great year of gaming. I'm looking to finish it out with you guys. So I certainly hope you stick around to see all of this, even if, again, some of it's probably going to spill over into January. But either way, thank you so much for watching. Thank you guys for the great year so far. Like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. But regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.